Most people see castles as monuments to power. Stone walls, grand towers, history frozen in stone. But Britain's castles are not just history. They are wounds that never fully healed. Places where executions, betrayal, and suffering left something behind. Something that does not follow the logic of the living world. This is not a list of folklore and ghost tours. These are locations with documented histories of violence, unexplained phenomena reported by visitors, staff, and investigators for decades. And in some cases, for centuries. 5 castles. 5 histories that go far deeper than the guidebooks will tell you. We begin at number 5. No, 5. Leap Castle, the dungeon beneath the chapel. From the outside, Leap Castle looks like a ruin. Crumbling towers above rolling green hills, a romantic silhouette against a grey sky. But step inside the tower known as the Bloody Chapel, and the atmosphere shifts. Even those with no interest in the paranormal have described an instinctive reluctance to go further. In 1532, the O'Carroll clan held a religious ceremony here. A rival branch of the same family interrupted it and slaughtered the priest at the altar in front of his congregation. That alone would mark the place. But it was what was discovered beneath the floor in the 1900s that changed how visitors understood Leap entirely. Workers renovating the site broke through a trapdoor and found a small dungeon below the chapel. Inside were the skeletal remains of hundreds of people. Prisoners had been thrown in and left to die on wooden spikes below. 3 cartloads of human bones were removed from that pit. The locals call what haunts this place the elemental. Not a human spirit, something older. Something that visitors have described, not in words, but as a physical sensation. Of something close behind them, even when the room is empty. Leap Castle does not feel abandoned, it feels occupied. No. 4. Edinburgh Castle, the city watches from above. Something watches from below. Edinburgh Castle is one of the most visited tourist sites in Britain. On any given day, thousands of visitors pass through its gates. They photograph the skyline. They admire the crown jewels. Very few of them know what lies beneath the stone they are standing on. Beneath the castle, a series of vaults were used during the 18th and 19th centuries to imprison soldiers from wars across Europe. Hundreds of men were held in these chambers, dark, cold, without adequate ventilation. Many did not leave. In 2001, the University of Edinburgh conducted one of the largest controlled studies into paranormal phenomena ever attempted. 240 volunteers spent time in the vaults. Half of them told nothing about the history, half briefed in advance. 60% of the uninformed group reported unexplained experiences. Cold presences, shadows at the edge of vision, the sensation of being grabbed. They did not know what had happened in those rooms. The castle also sits atop a volcanic rock, riddled with tunnels. One was explored in the 1600s by a lone piper, sent in to map its depth. The piper was heard playing beneath the Royal Mile. Then the music stopped. He was never seen again. They say on quiet nights, if you press your ear to the stone near the Lawn Market, you can still hear the pipes. If you are watching this and have not subscribed yet, do it now. There are more videos like this on the channel, and they only get darker from here. No. 3. Chillingham Castle. The torture chamber that was never sealed, Chillingham Castle sits in the hills of Northumberland, quiet and grey, overlooking land that was once one of Britain's most contested borders. For centuries, this was a place of active warfare. Raids, sieges, executions. The castle's torture chamber was not a medieval myth. It was used. One name appears repeatedly in its history: John Sage. the castle's chief interrogator during the border conflicts of the 14th century. By some accounts, he executed over 50 prisoners by his own hand in a single week. His methods were recorded. They are not suitable for description here. Sage was eventually hanged in the castle's courtyard. By some accounts, it took him 3 days to die. Visitors to Chillingham have reported phenomena so consistently over the centuries that researchers have documented distinct patterns. A boy in white seen in the pink room. Unexplained cold spots in the torture chamber that persist regardless of season. Objects moved. Doors that open by themselves in rooms that have no draft. The current owner has lived in the castle for decades. He has never attempted to explain what happens here. He simply says, "It is an old house, and old houses remember things." No. 2. Castle Rising. She was not dead. She was kept. Castle Rising does not look like a place of horror. It is well preserved, sunlit on clear days, surrounded by neat English countryside. But in 1330, Queen Isabella, the woman who had orchestrated the murder of her husband, King Edward II, was imprisoned here by her own son, Edward III. She was not executed. That would have been too simple. She lived in Castle Rising for nearly 30 years, alone, confined, slowly losing her mind. Local records from as far back as the 17th century describe screaming heard from the castle. Long, sustained, echoing screams on nights when the building was empty. The screams have been reported in modern accounts as recently as 2018. Isabella died in 1358, but whatever she left behind in those walls has apparently not finished. No. 1. Berry Pomeroy Castle, 2 ghosts. One is far worse than the other. Berry Pomeroy sits in a wooded valley in Devon. Half ruin, half standing, the trees pressing close on every side. It is, by most accounts, the most comprehensively haunted site in Britain. 2 spirits dominate the reports. The White Lady, said to be a daughter of the castle, imprisoned and starved in the tower by her own father. And the Blue Lady, who appears in the ruins, and who does not simply scare those who see her. She lures them. Reports going back centuries describe people following the Blue Lady deeper into the castle grounds, drawn by something they cannot explain, only to find themselves standing at the edge of the old ramparts above a sharp drop. Several have described realizing, only at the last moment, where they were standing. The castle attracts experienced researchers, historians, and paranormal investigators in roughly equal numbers. Most agree on one thing: Berry Pomeroy does not feel like the ruins of something dead. It feels like something waiting. These are not ghost stories invented for entertainment. They are locations with centuries of documented death, suffering, and unexplained experience. Stone holds memory in ways we do not fully understand. Britain's castles were built to endure, and some of what happened inside them has endured alongside the architecture. Walk through enough of these places, and you begin to understand something that historians and ghost hunters agree on. The past does not always stay where we put it.